Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Meck. Now I'm a certified recovery specialist working for Penn Medicine, but that wasn't always the case. Back in the early 2000s, I'd started my apprenticeship with the Iron Workers 401 here in Philadelphia, and it also coincided with the OxyContin epidemic here in Philadelphia. So I went into my apprenticeship already with an addiction to opioids. It was more well controlled then. So my first year or so, I felt like they assisted me on the job. I was 200% of myself and able to do the job well. Um, but throughout my apprenticeship, people began to notice. Even during my first year, I had some guys that were very cool with me. Come say, "Yo, what's up? There's something's different." Because some days I couldn't get it before arriving. So you're very off when you're in withdrawal. You're not the same person. I'm not running around connecting at the speed that I normally would be and whatnot. And towards the end of I can't believe I made it through. But towards the end of my apprenticeship, went to graduation, made it through and everything, and just slowly started to attend less union meetings, got less involved, started borrowing from my annuity and whatnot, and just wasn't the iron worker that I once was. And I left off. I had gotten my ticket, but drug addiction, my addiction was like clear and prevalent at this point. They almost did me a I don't want to say favor, but I was a great iron worker at one point and was friends with a lot of people who were fairly high up in the union. I was well positioned. So they knew that I was using, but that I got pushed through anyway. And I worked for a little bit, but I started to get away from the meetings from the 401 meetings and started working less and less as my and borrowing more and more as my habit progressed. And I went into a period where it was really for a couple of years in 2010s where it was rehab, recovery house, relapse, repeat. And this was for years in a row. Part of that was because I came up like in the 12-step program, and like medication assisted treatment was like looked down upon. So I never gave it a shot. It was out of the question, wasn't something I was willing to consider. Like Randy says, I got I got arrested and lost my truck, my tools, everything. I had Suboxone at my the little room I was renting, and I got out like I only served like a week. It was for a violation of probation, not showing up. So I was in like post acute withdrawal, not sleep. I hadn't slept in a week. I essentially ran home from the jail that's on State Road, and I took a buprenorphine at like 3 in the morning when I got back. So I didn't have to use a bag or anything. I took buprenorphine and I did not feel high. I did not get high or anything. I felt like the old me that I thought was dead, that I thought was never coming back. So that really saved me right there. That arrest and the subsequent induction on MAT, which I was vehemently opposed to before. I thought it was only 12 steps. I'm weaker if I have to use medication. Little do I know, I'm using medication every morning to get by, just in the form of, at that point, it had progressed to heroin, like it always will. That's the thing with opioids, too. Your tolerance continually rises, it will just continue to rise. So finally, tools, that was a disaster at the time. Tools gone, truck gone. But I came out of that. I was induced on buprenorphine with a small room to live in, started hitting meetings heavily, and that really transformed my life. my giving MAT a shot for the first time. I'm still on a low dose, long acting injectable to this day, just as a safety net. Just because I said I spent so much of my life in opioid addiction, I'm never going to feel that again. Um, so it's almost a safety net. If something horrible was to happen, I got fired, found out both my parents were killed in a car crash. I couldn't go and purposely overdose or anything, give me that 24-hour window to think about it and everything. Um, so I enjoy having that in me. I was a skeptic at first, but it made me feel like the Brad before I ever took that first Percocet. Someone who I thought was dead and gone, and I could never feel like a normal, quote, normal human being again. It was a withdrawal or being well. Um, yeah, and buprenorphine made me feel like the old Brad was back, someone I thought I would never get to feel like again. So that really, really, truly saved my life. Was the buprenorphine induction, and then continued to just get involved in AA. I kept my mouth shut about buprenorphine. That's my business. At meetings, I just stick to the big book and whatnot. And now work for Penn Medicine, trying to get others to find their personal path to recovery. And life could not be better now. I literally never thought I'd be living such a good, carefree life.